It's been about a week or so of travel since they left the foggy, mossy island.
Felix is like 70% confident on this.
And the ship has passed through a number of surreal biomes, worthy of exploration.
You know what still hasn't been explored, though? Resolution to this ongoing conflict about whose body is whose.
Yeah, today Merlin's rather more interested in exploring the biome of the biological man's room, while said man is out surveying yet another one of these proto-islets they keep finding.
It's fairly spare in here, tidily arranged with miscellaneous stuff tastefully strewn around.
On an extruded end table lays a worn silvery harmonica that Everett must have gifted the biological man.
On a workbench are a few basic bacular tinkering tools for beginners, and a worn copy of Basic Bacular Tinkering for Beginners. Merlin recognizes it from the supply cabinet.
On top of a hamper of clean clothes, he locates one of his favorite turtlenecks at last.
He slips out of his ripped garment with its brutal hole and catches sight of his brassy, wooden movements in a mirror.
He pauses for a moment, watching himself, observing the rigid iron pine elements of his chassis, seeing squarish armatures flex, tiny gyros that whirl and catch the light in the gap where the cosmetic bellows had been. His eyes darken, and he pulls the new turtleneck on.
Beyond the glassy walls, Merlin sees a turquoise prairie spread out beneath him.
The proto-islet the crew is currently investigating takes the form of a tall, spindly butte with a broad, flat top, like an umbrella or a mushroom growing out of the median.
The fold rushing by below is still pretty shallow, but it has been getting steadily deeper the longer they follow the current.
The whole top of this mushroom-shaped formation is densely covered in pale, turquoise grain stalks with feathery tops. They bend and flutter in the breeze, giving the field the look of a gently undulating sea or a blanket rippling on a clothesline.
In this tapestry of pale, grayish-greenish blue speckled with multicolored wildflowers, Omelet's vibrant yellow tail sticks out like a flag as he happily prowls the fields hunting for prey.
Zila investigates the numerous pollinators buzzing to and fro. Hambing seems to be rolling out a picnic blanket. The granddaughter lounges in the shade of a lone tree.
The ventral sloop sits like a black fang on a small patch of flattened grass, its umbilical of liquid crystal trailing back up to the ship.
This pastoral scene is bathed in achingly bright sunlight from the craggy expanse of mica not so very far above.
The biological man's room overlooks this scene, which we have just described to you. By the port side window stands a small writing desk. Arrayed on the surface, a neat pile of papers, a cup of freshly sharpened pencils, a journal with a ribboned bookmark.
Merlin flips it open to the marked page. He reads the neat handwriting.
He doesn't even look up when the biological man doors back in.
What are you doing in my room?
Merlin reads aloud from the journal.
It then occurred to me, if the Sentinel's responsibilities had surpassed its ability to maintain an equilibrium, could the otherwise empty cosmos demonstrate the end state of an ecosystem that has entirely consumed itself? How precious, then, to know the verdant worlds from whence we came, and to which we hope to return. Are you writing a book? It's not bad. A little verbose. If I didn't know better, I'd say I'd written it.
The biological man walks over and grabs the journal.
Is that supposed to be a compliment? That's mine. It's not done.
Merlin blinks his eyes off and on.
I came in to recover a few more of my things. I thought it would be easier and avoid conflict if I just reobtained them, but maybe this encounter is for the best.
Merlin turns and lowers himself, to casually lean on the writing desk.
It's a very scholarly pose, all things considered. The casual, approachable, robotical teacher.
The biological man's eyebrow arches.
We already went through everything and divvied it up. You already have several turtlenecks. The one you're wearing is my favorite.
Permit me to clear up some key points. 1. This turtleneck is my favorite. Everything you have is from my collection. Every garment, every hair product, novel, and textbook I have assiduously assembled over my lifetime as the things I like and the things I use. It is by my grace that you are permitted to borrow them. 2. This extends to the body that you are in. I have spent a lifetime surviving, caring for, cultivating, and living in that.
Merlin gestures to the biological man with a bacular splay of his bacular fingers.
And while the bacular form I currently inhabit is a well-engineered marvel, the fact remains that this condition is unnatural and a byproduct of a narrowly avoided disaster. Once we are able to reverse the process,
You can stop right there. Don't you suppose my experience matters in all of this? Shouldn't what I want be taken into account?
No. You are practically a child who doesn't know any better.
I am absolutely not a child. I am exactly as old as you.
Merlin splutters, such as only he can.
No, you emphatically are not. I built you. I developed you.
No, me. I built you. I was there for it. I remember it. For fuck's sake, Merlin, I am for all intents and purposes you. Memories and all.
Merlin stands up from the desk.
See, this is what I wanted to avoid.
And how well has us avoiding each other been working out? Look, Merlin, come sit down. For the sake of the others, we need to come to some kind of reconciliation, get on the same page.
Merlin does not move toward the couch or the chair that the biological man is gesturing at.
The same page of what, exactly? Your story? Your account of this expedition? Your
He gestures at the notebook again.
optimistic wonder at a cosmos incapable of serving up a single answer as to the what, why, and how of our existence?
The biological man realizes he's gripping his journal tight enough to bend it. He slides it into the pocket of the tan trench coat that he's wearing.
I mean, we need to find an alignment on what's going to happen when we get back to civilization, to the first time house, to the consortium, to Bernhard and Gottel. You're still treating this whole body swap like some kind of temporary situation. Like we'll just be able to switch back before then, but without re-endangering the crew and the ship in the deepest depths of the light-starved fold. I don't know how you plan to accomplish that. Even if we go to the mothers for their help with this, there's no guarantee of success.
I don't doubt the process will be exceedingly complicated and come at some risk, but you and I both know this is not the way things are supposed to be.
Would you prefer I were never even here?
Yes.
That simple answer hangs in the air like an invisible guillotine.
The biological man sits down. He folds his hands. He takes a breath.
What I am hearing is that you are frustrated with our situation. And it is our situation, Merlin. Not just yours, not just mine, but ours. I don't know how else to say it, but this is our reality. And either you need to accept that, or...
A pause. Merlin cocks his head in that spooky mechanical way.
Or what?
I don't know. I would prefer that you accept my existence as a living being, as a person, capable of all the great and marvelous things you've also been capable of. It's fundamentally dehumanizing to hear you wish I'd never even come to be, and frankly, I don't see a successful path forward if you're not willing to accept that. I am Merlin. I think. I feel. I dream. I hope. Is that not worth preserving?
While I wander around as your toady, pretending to be less than I am in the shadow of what I built?
Oh, no. That's right. You'd prefer I do that.
Merlin stares into the almost teal eyes of the biological man. He sees himself in him. He can't not.
The biological man raises his hands.
I'm done.
He biologically stands up. He walks back over to the desk, eyeing Merlin, and tucks a sharpened pencil into his pocket with the journal.
I understand you're hurt and afraid, but I'm done fighting with you, Merlin.
I am not afraid.
Whatever you are, it's clearly not the grateful, graceful man who set out on this expedition of cosmic discovery. Take whatever, if it's yours. I'm going back out there to try and learn what my place is in all of this. I empower you to do the same, if you even can anymore.
The biological man turns and strides back across the room, trench coat fluttering.
Biological man?
The man stops at the door, but he does not look back.
It's clear that you'd rather choose a path that does not include me. So I'm going to make my own. Wouldn't be the first time.
Don't you dare dig through my dirty laundry, colonizing my past, my friends, my position, my authority.
Like you're not going through my laundry? Fuck off, Merlin.
And the biological man goes. Dooring open, then dooring shut again behind him.
Well, fuck you too.
After giving himself a few minutes to cool off, while boxing up a few more clothes and trying in vain to find his crystal bong.
It's probably in Felix's room.
We can tell you it is in Felix's room.
Merlin goes to pay a visit to the Ebon Reef envoy.
Merlin finds Cleo in her stateroom, dressed lightly in practical clothing, doing the same set of sword drills over and over again.
The dark mica sword being unnecessarily lethal for everyday practice, she appears to have upcycled some wood scrap into a crude but functional practice sword.
Merlin thinks he recognizes a particular embellishment on the handle as belonging to an armchair from the atrium.
He raps lightly on the side of the elevator doorway.
This seems to startle Cleo. She looks toward him immediately. Her long pink ponytail whips around her head, drawing a fleeting brushstroke of light in its path.
Her eyes are wide with alarm, but she relaxes slightly when she sees it is Merlin.
Oh, Merlin. Hi.
Expecting someone else?
No,
She answers very quickly.
I thought everybody else was outside.
Well, so did I. But I was looking for you and thought I'd check here first. Do you mind if I interrupt?
Cleo pushes some hair off of her sweaty forehead.
Yeah, sure. What's up?
Merlin tromps out of the open elevator, crosses the length of Cleo's stateroom, and leans on the edge of the dark mica bathtub. It's once again a very scholarly pose, all things considered. The humble, teachable, curious student.
The tub has been filled with dirt and seems to be functioning as a vessel for a massively overgrown blue coral houseplant.
He drums his fingers on the crystal rim of the tub, searching for the right words.
Through the tinted windows, he watches fork-tailed birds soaring over the pasture, catching insects, before diving back down over the edge of the butte.
The proto-islet's mushroom-like stem is riddled with holes, in which these birds appear to have built their nests. Merlin would wonder how the column manages to support the weight of its broad top, except that he's seen way too many weirder things by now.
You have a way with people, wouldn't you say?
I guess. Sometimes. It depends. What do you mean exactly?
You're popular amongst the crew. Now and back when the crew was much larger.
Oh, thanks. I try. Not too hard, hopefully.
You have an intuitive grasp of certain matters which do not come naturally to everyone. To me.
Cleo tilts her head quizzically, detecting the shape of some larger questions, possibly, beneath Merlin's preliminary remarks.
Matters like what?
Like getting people to listen to you. Getting them to agree with you. Eliciting attitudes of fellowship and respect, and basic human decency from those with whom you interact.
Okay, I see. Merlin, is there something I can...
I used to believe myself charismatic, generally likable, adept at speaking and writing, maintaining relationships, capable of translating my thoughts and opinions into words which would resonate with others. Clearly, that must have been the case. I did not hallucinate my whole career, which was, I fully admit, somewhat personality-based. But something has changed. I do not seem capable of that anymore.
Cleo puts down her practice sword. She drapes a towel around the back of her neck and pulls up a small upholstered stool next to the bathtub. She dabs her forehead with the corner of the towel.
Is this about the biological man?
No. Yes. I don't know.
Cleo waits.
Not just him, though he is certainly a leading example of the kind of difficulty I'm describing. He's so determined to vex me. And Felix is making matters worse. The biological man is my responsibility. If everyone would just leave him to me to manage, to instruct, to guide, then so much of this could have been avoided.
Cleo takes a slow breath in and out.
I know what it feels like to want to guide other people so that they think and feel in the way that you think is best.
Exactly. Which is why I'm coming to you now. You have a lifetime of experience in this sort of thing, but I've never really had to think about it consciously before. Whatever natural charisma I might once have skated by on, it's stuck in that other body where I can't get at it. I need to apply myself to this as I would any other new area of study. It's the only way I'll learn to do what you do.
Cleo is looking a bit apprehensive.
What I do?
Influence people, charm them, persuade them peacefully toward the outcomes that are in everyone's best interests. Clearly, my increasing tendency to butt heads with people I disagree with is not doing me any good. I need to readjust my technique, and you're just the baronial envoy to teach me.
Oh, Merlin, I don't know.
Now, Cleophy, before you sell yourself short, you would make a wonderful teacher. I know you've expressed some doubts about your qualifications and your place on this crew and all that, but you are a natural diplomat. I have the utmost confidence.
That's not the problem, Merlin. I don't want to.
What?
I mean, I want to help you, if I can. I just don't know if this is the right way to go about it. All the stuff you're saying about me is true, but I'm trying not to be like that anymore. It's manipulative.
Merlin tightens his grip on the edge of the bathtub.
So, I'm supposed to just let the biological man grow further and further apart from me?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not saying you should just give up on your relationship with him, But there has to be a better way than approaching every interaction like a psyop.
Merlin crosses his arms. He falls sullenly silent.
Do you just want someone to talk to? I'm happy to do that. I'm worried about you, Merlin. Everything you're going through with your old body and your new body has got to be really hard, not knowing when or if you'll be able to switch back. Plus, that spooky hallway place stirred up a bunch of stuff. I don't think anybody's healed from that yet. It seems like what happened between the biological man and Felix really hurt your feelings. Have you talked to Felix at all since then?
What for?
Well, he obviously cares about you.
Well, he has a funny way of showing it.
Yeah, maybe. The way people express their feelings isn't always straightforward.
Her eyes wander to the window, searching among the figures down in the field. And sensing an opportunity to steer the conversation away from Felix, Merlin says,
How are things going with you and Dot?
What? Fine.
Cleo jerks her eyes away from the window.
You seem to be embarking on some manner of official relationship.
Yeah, I guess we are.
Felicitations. Young people should have fun while they can. I was surprised to find you holed up inside rather than gallivanting about the fields with them.
I guess they're so unbothered now, you know? Totally chill with whatever.
Haven't they always been like that? And isn't that a good thing?
Yeah. Of course.
There is an uncomfortably long silence. Cleo seems to kind of lose the thread of the conversation. All of her attention has turned inward.
Merlin watches her for a moment, then pushes himself upright.
Well, I've taken up enough of your time. I'll let you get back to your exercise. Thank you for hearing out my ill-advised proposal and setting me straight. I won't be winning any popularity contests anytime soon, but I suppose I'll just have to make do.
Cleo resurfaces from wherever she just was.
What? Oh, sorry, Merlin. I really do wish I could help.
No, I understand. There is no magic solution. Thank you, Cleo. I'll see you later.
He stomps into the elevator, and the dark mica closes him in.
No one can help me.
I can help you, Merlin.
Ah!
Oh yeah, the fold light. Dot has been encouraging the crew to speak to it whenever possible, which can be done from any and every area of the ship.
Which, of course, also means that it is always listening, too. But this is the first time that it has spontaneously initiated a conversation with Merlin.
Hello, Foldlight. How are you?
I am.
Right. Can you take me to the workshop deck?
I am conveying you safely and successfully to the workshop.
The crystal elevator descends
Merlin quietly fuming all the while.
to the workshop level, just one deck beneath control.
He doesn't know exactly what he intends to do there, just some general stress tinkering. So he slides some Baccalites and a Baccaliper in front of a stool, brandishing a Bachnometer, muttering to himself.
Somebody else elevators by, coming back aboard from the outdoors, then stops and comes back down to join Merlin.
A bacular man building bacular things. Kind of incestuous, isn't it?
Merlin nearly drops the Bachnometer.
Why aren't you outside?
I was. I've seen enough.
Oh, what? The unexplored marvels of our cosmos aren't stimulating enough for you?
On the contrary, they are a source of endless astonishment. It's just that I find the mica's constant light a little uncomfortably intense after a while. And what's your excuse? What are you doing in here?
Merlin slams the Bachnometer down on the work table.
It just feels a little rudimentary, doesn't it? Too much like Cosmology 101. Taking samples, cataloging wildlife, measuring fold density, sightseeing. Business as usual, day in, day out. I just can't do it anymore. Go through the motions as if nothing has changed when we now know that there is so much more to our reality.
I know how that feels.
I suppose you do, don't you?
Merlin turns to look at Steve, at the huge purple fold-light-headed renegade cosmologist alien that has somehow ended up on their ship cosmoses away from his home.
Merlin takes a scholarly pose against the workbench, listening, the attentive and contemplative colleague.
Steve bobbles his head sack.
I do know how it feels. Better than just about anyone, Merlin. Though if you ask me, maybe you should enjoy these scenic pit stops while you can. I wouldn't be surprised if your consortium forbids you from exploring so freely in the future. Just like the magistrates pulled support for my research once I started turning up results they didn't like.
Merlin shakes his head, recalling the scene in the hall.
Your magistrates seem like a bunch of insufferable windbags.
Insufferable.
Steve, unexpectedly, roars with laughter.
Oh, they are. Oh, you can't imagine how good it feels to have an impartial witness say that. Oh, they are the worst, especially Janet, the yellow one.
Merlin is rather taken aback.
I thought you weren't at all happy about having your memory displayed in front of everyone like that.
Well, no, I wasn't. But you know, there is something unexpectedly validating about it. None of you people believe anything I say anymore. There's no way I could have made you understand what I went through if you hadn't been able to see it for yourselves.
I believe you.
What?
I believe what you say. I don't always like the way you say it, but truth is not always likable. And I am coming to understand your point of view better.
Steve's headlights twinkle.
Why, thank you, Merlin.
But don't get all big-headed about it. I mean, bigger-headed than you already are.
Merlin turns back to his work table.
You know, speaking of big heads, I could probably engineer some kind of head shield for you, to help with the brightness. Micah's luminosity is difficult for many people to bear, even the native inhabitants of this cosmos. It's not unusual to use tinted eyewear to help deal with it. That was the original purpose of Dot's glasses, I believe.
A very generous offer, Merlin. And one I hardly deserve after how I addressed you in the Hall of Doors. Sincerely, again, I am sorry for that. You are a gifted scientist, and a truly bold explorer. And for all of our differences and our divergent views on the nature of reality, it is good fate that two cosmologists, such as ourselves, should be counterbalances and companions to each other on this journey. I am lucky to have made your acquaintance, Merlin. Without your wisdom and resourcefulness, I, all of us, would still be trapped in that god-forsaken sun realm.
That's a very kind sentiment, Steve. Though I can't take all of the credit. This has been a team effort.
Very egalitarian of you to say, Merlin. Though, it does seem as though you're beginning to experience some differences of opinion with that team. I sympathize. And I offer you my insight and experience with respect to navigating what comes next. As I said, your society will not be a glad recipient of the knowledge and experience you now carry. If even the other members of your own crew now reject and misunderstand your positions, you can be certain that your civilization's negativity will be far more extreme. And in preparation for that unfortunate outcome, I am at your service.
Steve lays a confiding appendage on Merlin's bacular shoulder. Merlin peers at him, warily, yes, but also curiously.
I know that kind of antagonism far too well. And if it should manifest, Merlin, I will stand behind you.
Not if, Steve. Then not even when.
Merlin turns to look out the workshop windows, at the crew frolicking in the grasses outside, at the biological man now sharing a laugh with Felix.
Regrettably, it has already begun.
Thanks for listening to Unend. If you're enjoying the story, please rate and review to help someone new discover the cosmos.
You can catch Unend every Wednesday anywhere you stream podcasts or through the MIDST Podcast YouTube channel.
If you're looking to dive deeper into the story, become a Beacon member at beacon.tv or join the fold on MIDST.co to receive early ad-free access to episodes, behind-the-scenes exclusives, and lore-expanding bonus content.
Or, if you just want to hear this podcast 2 weeks early and without ads, subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
To stay up to date on what's next in the cosmos, sign up for our newsletter on MIDST.co or find us on social media at MIDST Podcast.